Okay, so just to continue on with the whole digital experience and solution of what Autodesk is really all about, I spoke to you earlier about the product design suite. Now I want to move you into the factory. So there was an opportunity to see how this VMech was designed. Now we want to understand how it fits into the factory world and how it's going to be actually produced and manufactured. Individual components being manufactured and assembled together to the end users. Okay. So during this class, what I'd like to achieve in covering is going through the workflow of a 1D to 4D. Has anybody heard of 1D? Is there a one-dimensional sort of approach? No? Okay, well, we can cover some of that. And then if there's an opportunity to show you toward the end the virtual factory experience through some of the different technologies that we connect with and integrate with. So just to go through basically the objectives, we'll get you to kind of really understand the setup of the workflow, of the factory layouts. We'll understand the process planning and how things really start in a factory. And at the same time, we'll look at the as-built situation inside the factory, maybe make some changes, update that, and how do we communicate this across internally and externally. Okay, so just a quick intro. So product design suite is to design products, right? Now we use factory design suite to take these products that we've designed and put them inside a factory and simulate the actual assembly or manufacturing of that product. So these are two different products. There are some overlap in terms of some of the product offerings inside of each, but these are for two different sort of end users. To explain that, these users are sitting here for the product design suite. So they're the team coming up with the design, the cool stuff, and there's a big white space here, and that's basically the rest of the actual factory. And then within that, you have your manufacturing engineers, you have your production engineers, you have the planning and the facilities personnel that are taking care of the shop floor, right? So information essentially comes out of the product design team and goes into the factory for further production. And of course, sales can tap into both the different environments, whether it's product or factory. So you've heard of the digital prototyping for products. There's also a digital factory solution that we can offer within that suite. And we basically start off with a process simulation. And we work our way to the layout, the working areas or the cells of where these products are going to be commissioned, assemblies, jigs and fixtures within that sort of area. And at the same time, we move right up onto understanding if there's any clashes with sort of the 4D project management timeline. And you can get into some more advanced areas of, now I have a factory, I've got all these machines set up that are producing X amount of components. How much energy is coming off these machines? Maybe it's a component that you got to keep under a certain environment, a certain temperature. And this is where we can use CFD to simulate that environment and the heat dissipating into that area and understand what the thermal load is and what it takes to cool that environment down to keep these machines operating on an optimal level. So the building that's inside, is just a container. It's a big box. What do we do with this big box? We have to set it up so it's actually simulating a factory layout. So before we get into the details of that, today most companies are designing their factories like this. I don't quite understand this. It's just lines and colors. There's no intelligence behind this really. But usually it's just done by AutoCAD. Okay, we'll build a production line here. We'll put some equipment on this side. That looks about right. So now let's get into what 1D is and how 1D can take you over to the 4D and how we can connect all that across the board. So remember VMIC? This is the actual factory. This is the actual factory in Sweden, right? It's a digital factory model. With the loading trucks that are actually transporting these units, across, Scandinavia and of course Europe. So let's take a look inside and see how they actually started this and go through it. So what is 1D? 1D is the actual process that you start planning what you're going to do inside a factory. Okay? So the process, capturing, I want to do some welding. I have some assembly. I have to transfer this part from this station to this station. From there, once you get a flow chart, which is your 1D, you try to build out a sequence of when each activity will start, finish, and what the timeline is between these activities. And then what you need to do, so coming out of one software, going into another software, you're probably going to go into another software. That's kind of project managing that sequence. So now you're bringing that information back into another software to capture that on a timeline to understand the start of the project and the end of the project. That's really what 1D is. The way we do 1D, the way Autodesk has approached it, is we actually use the process analysis tool, which is inside a factory design suite. And by the way, it's also a free product that you can actually download, and you can just run your own sort of simulate scenarios of process analysis scenarios inside of an environment. So you can basically take your planning, you can take the job costings and help make decisions of how your layout is going to be. So I think I've got a video somewhere here, which is probably after the next slide. So just to further more on that, we're able to connect to these machines that are actually producing these parts that go from station A to station B to be assembled with other parts. We can actually start to understand in real time and get feedback from that machine how many parts it's produced, how fast it's producing it, and whether there's a maintenance interval or a time that needs to be stopped and a maintenance needs to be carried out. So you understand the downtime as well. And we can connect that back into the process analysis that you've seen earlier. So I think this is a video. No. Is this a video? Yep, it is a video. Okay. So the process analysis, right? We want to create a new design. So we'll call it the VMEC. We'll look at maybe a welding station of that process. So we've created it up here. From there, it actually launches the process analysis interface. So this is a web-based product. You can download it and then sort of use it. Now, what you can start with is the actual process itself. So you can lay out as many processes as you like. You can, of course, have the option to, set up the duration, hours, minutes, seconds of that specific process. You can even tap into the factory assets of, okay, well, I've got a robot that does a certain function. I'll bring that asset into that process analysis where it understands its capacities and capabilities tie it into the actual process itself. So we'll call this operation 1. And from there, you can actually put some more intelligent data behind that that can be used later on. So one process can have multiple operations. So there could be a machining, a finishing, a painting, and then off to the assembly. So that can be contained within a process to control the number of processes that you may have. And then you can go so on and so on. I mean, you can even build a what-if scenarios. What if I set up this product with this machine to run, and my objective is to reach 400 parts in 5 minutes. Will it happen? Can we just, sorry guys in the back, can we just maybe shift in a minute or so into the video? No. So what I wanted to highlight is actually how we connect these different processes. So we can start to simulate the parts moving from station A to station B, and then you can see all the quantities and the time it takes to move from those. Can we get it to maybe about here, halfway, please? Okay. I'm not lucky today. You can't do it? Okay. Okay, can't do it. I'm sure these will be available for you guys after. So 1D, we spoke about 1D. Now we're going to take that information that we did in 1D, and we want to translate that into the 2D environment. So 2D environment, right, AutoCAD, you lay out your blocks and so on and so forth traditionally, right? But you can connect within the factory design suite of AutoCAD, you can connect to your asset browser. You can drag and drop these components into your factory layout and basically connect the pieces, and then you have a 2D sort of environment. From there, what you can do, once you lay out a scenario, you can actually run the material flow analysis. You can understand how much material is going through the factory floor, how much material is needed, and so on. If there's any issues, bottlenecks, anything to sort out within its, the environment that you're operating in. Not only that, you also get, detailed information in terms of, if you're using forklifts, how much fuel costs will it take to transport a product from start to finish? So you can kind of monitor the cost of fuel as fuel, fluctuates. You can always keep an eye on things like that. And obviously the cost of the operation itself. So we do that in 2D. We capture a bit more information, and now we're trying to feed that into the 3D environment. Okay, so in 3D, it's obviously we want to visualize, the layout and understand what it actually looks like. So we convert our 2D information that we just did into 3D, and there's a sync button within Inventor that takes the actual 2D layout and populates everything into 3D. So whatever you've drawn in your 2D environment, which is where we started off here, right, can be pushed into Inventor to populate that with, of course, all the bill of materials and the assets and the metadata, the information that you've actually started with, and the process itself, which is actually driving the layout of equipment. So it's bidirectional. If you're happy to work in the 2D environment, you can maintain that environment going forward, and then you can push it out into the 3D. If you're happy to work in the 3D environment, you can carry on by adding additional assets and so forth, and then you can push that back onto a 2D layout should you need a printout of a 2D. And again, it's very easy, drag and drop. There's connector points where you assign a conveyor belt a certain function of how it connects to other conveyor belts. And if it needs to adapt to certain width and height, automatically that asset grows in shape and size to cover the mating of the other parts. So this is kind of what it could look like. And this is a little more visual for me, and I understand what is going on. So we take the information from 3D, and we want to go into the 4D world, right? And what can we do in the 4D sort of environment? We're effectively using it to communicate. We're using it to review. We're using it to understand what is going on in the environment here. We can also run certain analysis like clash detection to understand whether our fencing, whether there's structural elements affecting the factory sort of layout. So we may have to work around that, should it be identified in the clash report. So I'll give you a quick little video here. So we're going to run a clash detection here. So we've built this 3D factory layout, and we've identified certain areas that we want to assess, the building and some equipment. We get a report. That report gets translated into an HTML file and some pictures and so on, highlighting where these clashes are. Gives the designer the opportunity to go back into the actual model, whether it's 3D or 2D, and shift, move, or amend what the situation has come up to be. So you could see here there's a new sort of location for that equipment. And then from there, you can rerun the report or refresh the actual 4D. And then that should clear off that clash as well. And then you basically go through each clash item itself and sort of rectify and fix it. So before we start building the actual factory, we get an insight to these situations that I don't think the human eye can pick up through. Right, so I'll just move on to the next video. Okay, so this is kind of Navisworks. So not only can you go into your factory and run clash or interference detection, you can also walk through the factory. So once you've cleared all the clashes, everything looks good, what will my factory look like? Let me understand the process that these components go through. So I can walk through here, I can see some units that are being built. I could even go up the stairs if I wanted to. And maybe get an overview of what the factory can look. I can see all the different stations, the assembly station, maybe the welding station, the jigs and fixture station. So as you continue to walk around, this is a great insight to understanding how the layout is and the optimization behind it. So you can even determine, do I have enough walkway, safety walkway for emergency reasons, or just to have workers maneuver around the actual factory safely. So you can see here on the floor the actual 2D assets that are driving the 3D populated parts. So you might at one point say, okay, you know what if I was to maybe move this station somewhere else? What effects would it have? So again, you can pick up some clashes and rectify that. So there's a functionality where you can switch back. So if the designer of the structural element or the structural designer of that component has put a beam, let's say in a certain space, and it's affecting the actual factory layout, there's the ability to actually click and switch and launch the actual environment that the structural engineer used to create that beam and update that positioning of it, and then switch back into, obviously, the Navisworks to clear the clash itself. So again, point cloud data can be brought in, for existing factories. You can lay out maybe a new production line or a new process that needs to be in place, or a new product launch that needs to be part of that factory layout. Okay, so we're not limited to just the actual desktop interaction. So just like gaming, this is something a little more mobile. You can use your iPad to log on to our BIM 360 and kind of load up what you just saw there. And what's really cool about this is as you're holding the iPad, you can actually move it, and that would simulate the actual movement of the individual walking through the factory. And then you can pause, you can capture some notes, share that within your team of concern. And then if you really want to take it to the next level, there's endless possibilities, but the virtual reality sort of goggles can be put on as long as you're holding on to something, because it's really simulating the actual environment. You can actually put these on and walk through your own factory digitally. So you could get the experience firsthand before maybe the first sort of wall is being built. So this is available. We have a tight integration with the company, and if you want to take it to the next level, this is something that you guys can consider as well. So this is recap. This is taken in an existing factory. A lot of point clouds, and it's very light data. We can handle millions and millions of point clouds. So size hasn't been an issue so far as I know. We can bring that in. We can highlight a few areas and work based off some specific areas of that. You can overlap your point cloud into your factory layout. And again, you can understand whether there's any interferences or any interruptions between the structural element and the factory itself. So there you go, you put a fire hose on a wall, right? So you can use point cloud and CAD data to integrate your factory. So when I started off, I said, okay, we design parts or components or products, and then we want to start serving the end users by producing these parts. Does anyone know what else you could use factory for? Any other ideas? No? Okay. So I want to just highlight other industries that would probably take advantage of this factory sort of concept or factory design. Do you guys think the circuit board manufacturers could take advantage of it? So within Inventor, we can create these factory assets, assign their properties, attach data sheets for those components, whether they're being purchased from ABB or whatever company. And you can easily bring them into your environment and just lay them out, connect them, and you have a circuit board instead of designing every single component and assembling it and so on. Quick way to lay out a board. And once you have a master library, you can build pretty much any circuit layout that you need. So the command and control center, pretty unique in its in the actual environment there, but you can easily lay out, sorry, you can easily lay out, you know, where the seating needs to be, the walls, windows, and you can easily build, you know, a center of communication. Okay. So on a ship, you've got, you know, you can lay out your HVAC, you could lay out your piping, you can lay out your structural elements and so on. Quick and easy to use. You're not designing anything, you're not engineering anything, you're just pulling information that's already sitting in a library and building that. And then you're getting the bill of materials out of it, you're getting, you know, connected to your purchasing department, your ERP systems. So you're really accelerating that, that timeline. Who thought supermarkets would be a good, good fit for the factory design suite? You go into a supermarket, everything is pretty much, you know, modular. So this is a way to maybe reorganize the supermarket should they want to expand on their product lines, or simply to create, you know, a new market itself. So easily bring in your fridges, your doors, your shelvings, and so on, what the display unit would look like, and even characters with, you know, the shopping carts. But yeah, no food. I mean, you can put food on the shelves if you really want to, you know, cans of whatever. But again, you know, you've got all this information, you bring it in, you probably create this within half an hour, and you're getting a lot of information in half an hour. Event planning. This is a big event, right? Different rooms, we got to organize it, time it. Where are we going to make? Where's the main stage? Where are these breakout rooms? You know, how many seats can we fit? What's the layout? We can easily start to build that environment within minutes, really, to understand that. Sports stadiums, basketball arenas, and the list goes on. So just to recap, sort of command control centers, compartment layouts, supermarkets, you can visualize what a supermarket would look like before it's even being built, and anything within the planning of events. Now, I think everyone has played in a playground when they were children. So this is what a typical layout looks like. You know, the city's working on, okay, I want to create, there's a new development, I want to create a new playground for children. This is what they produce. That looks a little difficult to see as a playground, but this is what you can do in a factory design. You can basically have these assets, bring them in, and you can play around with the environment, and you can actually visualize what it would look like. You know, so you can put your swings, your climbing stations, your water fountains, you know, slides, and so on and so forth. So you can actually simulate the environment of a playground and walk through it before it actually gets built. So do you think factory, did you have an idea of maybe factory, you know, would have such capabilities? And when you look at this, it's not a lot of components. I mean, it's just a couple of slides, a couple of staircases, and so on, and maybe a couple of trees and a fencing, and you just lay it out. Okay, that's the end of my presentations. I hope you guys have questions this time. Yes, sir. Excuse me? No, because, you know, I mean, you have to create these assets. That's why they're called factory assets. So if you're working in a particular field or a sector, and there's certain components that you use on a regular basis, you create a simplified version of it, and then populate that in the actual asset library. And then from there, you would be able to use it going forward. I wish we can give you all that stuff. Any other questions? No? My colleague here wants to get up and present. Yeah? So Factory is a really cool product. It's one of my favorite products because it's not, engineering time consuming, and it's very easy to use. You can build things within a couple of days, from creating the assets to walking through the actual environment. So it's a pretty neat software. Yes.
Daha önceden tasarladığımız tasarımlarımızı 3D PDF ya da HTML olarak herhangi bir web sitesinde yayınlama şansımız var mı?
Yeah, so you can actually, if you want to show the factory, right? You want to be able to show your customer what the factory looks like as you're walking through. You can record. You can make a video, right? Within a product like Navisworks, or
yaptığımız tasarımı başka bir herhangi bir tasarım olmayan programda açılabiliyor mu?
yes, please.
Without the drawing in PDF format, three-dimensional PDF format, or HTML or VRF, so that they can open it in their computers without using it.
Yes. So this here, this is an HTML file, right? So the customer can interact with this as if he had the CAD actual program, right? But he doesn't have the CAD program, to go through. So you're not getting, let's say, bill of material and information, but if you want to give him, this is your factory or this is your project, this is what it looks like, you can send him a link, right? You can send him a link, and they're able to open it and, yeah, so it's possible. We have, sorry? So you have, the DW drawing file viewer, which is free. You can send the whole 3D sort of model, and they can kind of go, walk through it and look at it, take section views. It'll capture some data that you transfer on. So yeah, there's a free viewer as well. Yeah, it's very lightweight. Anybody can install it for free on their program.
Escape the problem.
Okay, good question.
Yapılan fabrika yerleşiminin üzerindeki boru kesitlerinden direkt izometrik alabiliyor muyuz?
Yeah. Okay, so you would like you want to get the lengths of all the pipes and the cut and the bill of material of each layout of the pipe. There is something inside of Inventor that can do maybe a little bit of it, but you need Plant Design Suite to do that. So you can build it in factory, right? Lay out everything, take that into Plant, run the actual command to give you all the isometric and all the layout and the lengths of your piping. Yeah, but it can't be done inside factory. No. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Any more questions? You guys? No? Why? Okay. I think that concludes my presentation. Thank you. Thanks for your attention.